Okay, let me start over. What is alienation? But let me just give you my general introduction really quick. I am the working class guru. I'm here to help working class employed people who are otherwise somewhat regimented, routined into these small sovereign nations known as corporations. I'm here to help them actualize themselves, realize that you're a special human being, and that your income level, your net worth is not an indication of your worth at all, okay? That's just a way to play this game. Capitalism is a cross-continental game. Your net worth is not your worth. It's just a way to manipulate you and to exploit you and to keep you feeling as if you're worthless, okay? You're special. You've been created. You have a creator, and even if you're an atheist, you were created by your parents. Somebody which was an expression of love. And so even if, you're special, okay? You're a human being in this place, okay? The cosmos didn't just come together for you to be in this system of exploitation where you're basically just regimented, okay? Like and subscribe. Keep in touch with me. It helps me. It helps the algorithm. So today let's talk about alienation. You feel alienation in a very peculiar kind of way. You somehow know that you're being taken out of your comfort zone. You're being taken out of yourself, and you're being placed into a situation whereby you're not quite sure your intentions. You're not quite sure about your motivations, and it's a very confused sort of state to be in. Now, one of the reasons for this is one of the feelings of alienation. I would refer to this more or less to the situations that are put within capitalist society. Now, I'm sure that in communism, when the Soviet Union, which was a god-awful disaster, the same as China's a disaster, North Korea's a disaster. I'm not condoning communism as an adequate... Never think that I'm condoning communism as an adequate solution to capitalism, please. This is the discussion about how to reform capitalism, using trade unions and making it almost like the compromise, the Atlanta Compromise that Booker T. Washington had drafted among Southerners. Now, alienation under capitalism is that feeling that you get that you're quite out of place. Part of it comes from what's known as the master-slave dialectic. Now, I'll make a video to master-slave dialectic right here. You can go check out what the master-slave dialectic is. It might not be there right now. I'll put it in later, once I do more research on it. But alienation is how you feel when you realize that you're the master slave. Okay, the master slave dialectic was proposed by Hegel, Georg Wilhelm Hegel. That was an idea between part of the dichotomies of how history moves itself forward on the specific relations between labor and the people who own the labor, which was the master who owns the labor and the slave who does the labor. And now when you put the two together, there's a subjective side, which is the side that you're phenomenologically associating with your eyes. Your intentionality is placed within the subjective case. Yet the objective body is that thing which scientific method can study. It's epistemology. It's the given reality of the world, the universe that we can perceive with our senses, and we can adequately all determine through our own nature with others that this thing exists. Oh, look, that thing there, that's a thing. Oh, I agree with you, I concur. There's a correspondence in objectivity, whereas it's in subjectivity, there's no correspondence besides the consciousness. Now, part of that feeling of alienation that you get most of it comes from that loss of subjectivity under the capitalist. When your body is placed under these certain circumstances that are where the meaning of it is transcended towards the other, being the capitalist, and you're being given a wage, which is for your labor. Now, when you're laboring, when you're working with your hands, when you're creating something, it's a direct outpour of the exact nature of your life. It's your life force. It's your blood. It's your time. You can never take your labor and go to your capitalist and exchange that. You know how you can go to Walmart, if you buy the wrong pair of underpants that don't fit, you could take them and exchange it back. It's an exchange. It's just like a common commodity. But the funny thing about the labor commodity is that, and it is a commodity. Remember that labor itself is it's the only commodity that working class people have, and that's what makes them poor and keeps them stuck in this systematic cycle. The only thing that they have is their labor, but labor is a very funny sort of commodity because you can never exchange it. You can't take your yearly income and go to the capitalist who bought that income and say, look, okay, here's $46,000 of my annual income. I changed my mind. I want my year back. I want to get that back. I want to get 2017 back. I want to get 2016 back. You can't do that, okay? It's one and done thing. It's kind of pernicious in this sense because it's from your very lifeblood. And part of being instantiated into this system as an object for the capitalists' enjoyment, the creation of the labor, yada yada, the commodities that's created from the labor, is that you lose your subjectivity, and that's part of the alienation that you feel as an object. However, the capitalist does, in a sense, lose a little bit of his/her objectivity. It's not much. It's not as bad. They're losing their objectivity, but they're also gaining their own actuality through not having to work or to be put into this corporate hierarchical system of employment, whereby their only real way to survive is through selling their labor. Another part of alienation is when you see that product is that you don't own the product that you create. Like I said before, your very lifeblood, your very soul, your very being is put into your work. Doesn't matter if you don't like your job or not. It's still you merely being there and playing out those ritualistic fantasies of whatever the capitalist wants you to do. That's a part of your soul. That's a part of your being. Existentialism talks about how your essence, the very essence of your soul, is a part of your being there and doing something, is created. The Dasein, being there, doing it, from Heidegger. And so you're basically losing that because you're translating that productive power of life into these commodities, which are then lost into the market. You can't go and look at it. You can't go and have it. It's not yours. It doesn't belong to you. Your time, it's that feeling of your time, your worth, your value not belonging to you. Does that make sense? That's what alienation boils down to, is just that sense that you do not belong to you. Even if it's for 8 hours a day, mind you, the 8-hour work week was a product of the labor movement. Otherwise, capitalists would work you for 12 hours a day. Okay, they still do, but there has to be some sort of we have to have some sort of a compromise here. Okay, so that's what alienation is. I'm your host, the Working Class Guru. Remember, you're special. It doesn't matter if you like your job or you hate your job. If you're just going to be stuck in a working class system, there's various ways that you can find enjoyment and find pleasure in a system that otherwise exploits you for your labor, keeps you under the jackboot of a hierarchy that remember, you're working class, your job, you don't appear on the balance sheet as an asset. You're not an asset to the company, okay? You're an expense. You appear under the cost of goods sold. It's a commodity, okay? You're a commodity to these companies. They could tell you anything that they want, but at the end of the day, in the quarterly earnings, you're just nothing more than just a expense, okay? But that's not true. That's not that to them. To them maybe, but to me, you're in the true value of the universe is that you're a blooming, luminous being, okay? You're more than what you are. You're more than what your worth is in the capitalist system, okay? Like and subscribe.